Star Trek 57, M23, take 2.
It's the It's Got Star Trek podcast.
Think about it, Tom. Before we got involved, these people were planning to commit some kind of sabotage next week. We were the ones who forced a change in their schedule. Because of us, they decided to begin today at 400 rotations. And we know the detonation takes place today just after 401.
401-2284. Wait a minute. You're saying we're responsible for an explosion, even though it occurred before our ship arrived here?
We've traveled back to a point in time before the explosion. So yes, we can be responsible for it.
Let's say we never came, and their plans didn't change. Wouldn't the accident simply have occurred next week instead of today?
Who knows what might have happened between now and then? They could have been arrested before they got a chance to carry it out. Conditions at the plant might not have been the same next week. But it's become our problem now, Tom. And we have got to find a way to solve it.
Everybody got that?
Okay, we have started.
Right.
Yeah, at least according to the...
We started counting.
I feel so
the
different
clock.
now. I feel like a different person.
It is an interesting...
Clock is rolling.
It is an interesting transition from not podcast to podcast.
I gotta put on my
I
podcast
can
mouth.
feel the atmosphere changing.
Yeah.
I got I switch my mouth, put on a new
Your
mouth.
mouth goes like inside out.
I gotta put on my podcast mouth so I can
Goes all inverted.
so I can say podcast things that are interesting on the podcast about like how I have a new mouth that I put on
your
when
mouth,
I do
you
my podcast.
open your mouth
Yeah.
and stuff comes out of it.
Is this one? Is
You open
this
your
the-
mouth, stuff comes out of it too.
Is this the new
No,
mouth?
I'm just saying.
Oh, I'm just saying. You were just saying. I was just saying. We were both just saying.
I'm just saying.
The podcast mouth is talking about the podcast mouth.
Yeah.
That's heavy.
It's an upsetting start to the podcast. this week.
Recursive beginning.
We're really.
I don't like it.
Let's be nice now.
To each other, to ourselves, by not getting all existential.
All around.
All right. Okay, I'll do the things
Okay.
that are expected,
Star Trek.
so that Dan can do the things that are
It's
expected,
got it.
and then Jesse will no doubt try to hinder the things that are expected, which in it of itself would be expected. So, all right, here we go. Welcome to the It's Got Star Trek podcast.
Hello.
Seems I found myself on the voyage of the damned.
You said it, brother.
Yeah, I said it.
You said it.
It had to be said.
It had to indeed be communicated.
There's some good lines from that fellow in this
Hey,
episode.
Jesse.
Oh no!
Hey, Jesse.
Oh my God!
I had to do it again because last week it was too high pitched. So it's got to be more. It's got to be more like hey Jesse. Hey
Dan.
Hey Jesse.
Hey, Dan.
Hey Jesse.
I'm going to go down like this.
Hey Jesse.
Yes.
What are you doing? No, actually, what I really wanted to point out was last week, and we totally glossed over it. Is Jesse last week at one point said "on the rad" last week?
Yeah,
did he sneak that in
sometimes
there?
Snuck it in.
Sometimes I think I've tried to sneak it in before.
We haven't said that in a long time.
We
Yeah.
haven't. I might have noticed
He's
that
glad.
and not mentioned that we hadn't said that.
Yeah.
He was on the glad.
I'm
Yeah.
We did not say on the
I'm
rad.
not a fan of. I believe Dan. Did you come up with that, Dan? That it's on the rad.
Supposedly.
Yeah. News 'em ups.
Supposedly, I did.
News 'em ups are on the rad.
Yeah, so Dan came up with this. It's on the rad, and I don't know. It makes me uncomfortable, that slogan.
No, it doesn't.
Everybody
makes
loves
you feel
it.
good. Makes you
It
feel
me-
good.
Makes me.
Yeah, you're wrong. You're wrong. It doesn't make you feel good.
All right, so yes, welcome to the It's Got Star Trek podcast.
Welcome.
Today you are listening to. Well, we don't know when they're listening. Never mind.
How many
It might
times
not
we have
be
to go?
today
How
when
many
they're
times we have to
listening.
go through this issue of like, well, we're recording now, but they're not listening now. So do
No
we say
one's
now,
going
or do
to
we
be
say
able to
I don't-
listen to
I
it
don't-
today because it's not released.
I don't think.
Yeah,
we
that's
go
what
th-
we're-
I don't
that's the
think we
issue.
go through that very often. I think it's because you started with this whole recursive stuff,
my
and my brain is getting all
Yeah.
confused. So
functions calling themselves.
All right.
yeah, it's the
Let's-
It's Got Star Trek podcast.
Maybe
Yes.
we should
I
start
think it's I think it's episode 295.
Yeah, something like that.
I believe it's 295.
Okay.
That sounds good, guys.
The It's Got Star Trek podcast.
All right.
And
We can do
on the 295th episode of the It's Got Star Trek podcast, which is here, This one. We will be discussing
This one here. That's right.
the very, very early season 1 Star Trek Voyager
Right.
episode, Time.
It's so
And-
early.
Time and again.
Like Kess's hair is weird.
We're from the future.
Jesse, you forgot.
No, see, I told you.
I didn't know you were going to start.
No,
doing
but
shit.
because he announces the episode and then I play a sound.
The episode title.
Oh, you're going to do that every episode?
Yeah, that's what I've been doing every episode. Is he says "Welcome to the podcast" and I play the sound, and then he announces the episode that we're listening to, and then I play a sound.
I'm keeping it shut.
No, I mean it's fine. I'm just helping you out here. I'm just giving you a boost. You know.
All right, good.
So it was.
We're from the future.
That's what it was.
Yes.
So you can like imagine that Patrick just said it,
Yeah.
and then imagine
Or
me
when you
saying-
played it previously, you were actually playing it now,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Maybe
Is there something I can do for you?
Is the reason we're acting like this influenced by the episode we just watched?
Whoa, time.
Do you think that's what it has to do with?
Whoa,
Maybe.
time. Tachyons. It's got to be tachyons. That's the culprit.
Was it tachyons?
Well, it's always tachyons. Tachyon. Maybe not
I
this
thought
episode.
It was some kind of subspace.
This was not
fractures.
tachyons.
No, but there's always tachyons.
This is a propofol or something.
It's,
yeah.
Tachyons are assumed that there's tachyons involved. Paramount Plus capitalized the "and" in Time and Again.
Yeah.
That is
You're not supposed to
interesting.
capitalize.
Yeah.
that.
And so,
this is very strange.
Paramount Plus said it was episode 4, and so I immediately assumed it was wrong. But if you look on Google, Google says it's episode 4.
This is one of those classic debates.
But it's usually Paramount Plus has something different than what Google has, and this time they were the same.
I found it interesting to see which
hear that.
places had it listed as the 4th episode and which places as the 3rd. Now, the eagle-eyed or eagle-eared
Eagle-eared,
or eagle numeric
Dog-eared.
numeracy.
dog-eared. Is that a thing already? Is that something people say already?
If you have
It
dog
is, but
ears.
not for the context we're talking about.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Okay, there's a keeper.
Yeah.
So
Sorry.
the reason is
sorry about that.
the reason for the discrepancy in the number is because it is in the first season, and this is a classic issue where the pilot episode, Caretaker, is in some places split in 2 as episodes 1 and 2 of Voyager, and in other places just as episode 1.
Oh, God.
My God.
Indeed. And there are arguments for different sides in terms of how it's listed in the production order.
That's nice.
You got Memory Alpha, Google, Wikipedia,
I suggest we search for other tangible evidence.
IMDb.
Man.
all of this. I don't know exactly where I fall. I think I have listed it as the 3rd episode of the season.
But
because I do think of Caretaker as a single episode.
It's
Please
so-
elaborate.
It's so early. They're leaving. Like they're turning the doctor off, and he wants to like kind of stay turned off unless they need him. Like he hasn't become like a regular guy.
Well,
the character development's very early.
Yeah, because like Neelix, Janeway's all asking Neelix about, do you know any of these aliens? And he's kind of sheepishly like, oh no, I guess not. You know,
We
and
still haven't gotten onto the
That's
fact that he's
right.
a total liar.
yeah,
creep.
but like later on, it's like he doesn't have to worry about keeping his place on Voyager, but he's still worried about it now.
Yes.
And later on, he kept his place by, I guess, making. I mean, the joke is his food is terrible, but I guess he does make food from crap. So but also, yeah, the Doctor is more cranky. It
Yes.
seems like
He's more cranky.
And it's funny-
Tuvok and Chakotay are at odds with each other.
right,
There's a whole
yeah.
bunch of stuff.
And
There's a whole bunch of stuff.
It's funny. The Doctor was like blaming the fact that Kess's brain was on fire. He's like, who fucked
Right.
that up? Who fucked
Yeah.
that up? And he's like, oh, it was me. But then he
It's
still
like-
found a way to blame
right.
someone else. He's like, well, if somebody had told me. Like it's never his fault. He's always passing
and
the
her
buck.
hair is all weird. Kess's hair, it's all strange.
Oh, you want to talk
Alien
about
hair.
you want to talk about weird alien hair? Every single person on that fucking
Exactly.
planet had
Right.
some kind of weird alien hair.
We're going to get to that.
Okay, I thought we might. I
And
thought
weird,
we might.
and weird alien clothes.
We're going to get to all of this.
Calm down.
There's a lot that is interesting and entertaining in this episode because it is so close to the beginning of the series, and we'll get into that. But voiced,
We're gonna get into it.
but voiced a couple of things.
Programming notes.
Well, we do have one programming note. Is
Really?
The only humans out here, Harry.
and we'll talk about horny boy Paris as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's another one.
Delaney
Early, he
sisters.
became less of a dick as the seasons went on.
Yeah.
He didn't understand that like the reason Harry didn't want to tell them that he had broken this record is because like Harry just wanted to be honest, but that didn't occur to Paris. He's like, what? They'll never find out. And it's like totally different sort of.
Well, wouldn't that
mojos
be in the
there.
computer?
I suppose it would.
They could
on
just
top
look
of
it
that.
up.
That's true. But like, I was just saying, Harry's concern was with being honest, and Paris like didn't even occur to him that would be a concern.
And indeed, that's another thing we can talk about in just a bit, because it occurred to me. It occurred to me recently. I don't know when.
It occurred to me.
But it was recently that it's been It's been a little while since we explained to folks.
Wait a minute.
Since we provided our audience with the opportunity, with a reminder that we have an offer, an ongoing offer that has not been taken up in quite some time.
Is it the haiku?
It is the haiku.
Oh,
we
crap.
have a deal. We have a deal out there.
You don't scare me.
If you leave a review, Dan will write you a haiku.
That's crazy.
He'll write you a haiku based
I
on
know
your
you're
name.
lying.
No, we're not lying. It's a bespoke haiku, handwritten, mind-written, whatever the appropriate term is by Dan.
Mind-written.
All you need to do is write a review. And it helps if you let us know you wrote the review, because our review sniffer doesn't always get it in all the places. Now, I'm not going to suggest...
Do you honestly expect us to believe all this?
Yes, I'm not going to try to suggest that Dan will try harder if you do in a review on like Apple Podcasts.
No.
Or Spotify versus some rinky-dink podcast player. But you will get a review. I'm not going to imply that. I'm not going to suggest that. But
Now, what's the problem?
like, just to be safe, you might want to do that. But we will accept reviews from any location.
Please elaborate.
You'll get a haiku out of it. I mean, at least it'll meet the basic functions of a haiku.
What you're describing, why, it's almost like the visions of Drakean forest dwellers.
All right. So that was thing number one. Thing number two
Uh-oh.
is that we have a voicemail.
I had to know.
I was thinking.
Yeah, we have a voicemail from
They're
Isaac.
lying.
So let's being real coy.
Let's listen to our voicemail.
They're some kind of demons.
Let's listen to the
There's no
voicemail
such thing as demons.
before you use up all your sound clips.
Because we are demons and we eat children. We ate him.
They'll eat each other.
Dan's just like, let's fucking do it. Leroy
Nice work.
Jenkins.
That's right.
All right.
The consequences would have to be better than mass destruction.
Now,
Okay.
and now we will listen to the voicemail
Calm down.
from Isaac.
Okay. Cool.
Hold on.
Wait, is it an email or a voicemail?
The voicemail.
Okay.
Not yet. It ain't.
Well, hold on.
Sabotage.
Oh no.
Sabotage.
I tested it.
Sabotage.
Hologram.
These people were planning to commit some kind of sabotage next week. I assume you're going to sabotage the
Hi
plan.
guys,
All right, there we go.
Sabotage.
Isaac from Trek 365 here.
Hi.
Look, last week I listened to your podcast and got really excited when Jesse from Open Pike Night suggested that there might be like podcasting wars happening. Kind of got me thinking about like WWE and the storylines that got the weave through. And I was really excited to hear that that's something that might actually happen now in the podcasting world. So I gave Jesse a call from Open Pike, not your Jesse. Hi, Jesse, by the way.
Hi.
Anyway, he said that a lot of the things that you like are quite lame, and a lot of the opinions you hold, he holds the opposite opinion too. So I just thought I'd tell you guys that in, just not trying to stir the pot or anything, but just, letting you guys know because I'm a nice guy. Also, while we're on the subject, I never listened to Let's Talk About
Making a
Drugs.
big
All right, guys,
mistake.
see you later. Go climb a rock. Where would I stay? And everything else. Love you. Bye.
Thanks, Agamus.
Love you. Dan's always complaining about people walking over his audio.
Okay,
He
yeah,
totally
I'm
walked
sorry.
over.
I walked over the last part of his
It's
thing.
all right. He did.
I'm
I just
sorry.
wanted to call out.
I feel really bad about that.
No,
He's
he-
getting really good with that. Where would I
He
stay?
made Isaac made a reference to he said I never listened to Let's Talk About Treks.
Yeah, I know. That
Oh,
was
and
cool.
I walked right over that.
You walked right over that.
That would have been so great.
And it's a great mention because both Let's Talk About Treks is a kick-ass Star Trek podcast. You should go listen to
Can
it.
you play the last part of it?
Yeah, I can do that. But also, that's like a reference to the old Don and Mike show, which we all used to listen to.
Yeah.
Where they would get people to say, I never listened to the Don and Mike show.
And
Yeah.
we've done that before.
Yeah, I want to apologize to everyone for being a hypocrite and walking all over
All
someone
right,
else.
let's see if I went back far enough.
Also, while we're on the subject, I never listened to Let's Talk About Treks. All right, guys, see you later. Go climb a rock. Where would I stay? And everything else. Love you. Bye.
Where would I stay?
Thanks, Agamus.
I love the love you because sometimes the love you comes when somebody says I love you, it comes across as like I'm a fan of yours.
Right.
I enjoy your program.
But
that sounded affectionate.
Yeah,
which I
You've been reading too many of those Darkstorm tales, young fellow.
Darkstorm. I want to read some
received.
Darkstorm tales.
I do too.
That sounds tight.
Yes. All right. Okay. Now we've
You
concluded
have
that.
a lovely brain.
We should respond to Isaac's message, which is yes. Last week, Jesse from Open Pike Night, another fantastic podcast, and then Isaac from Trek 365. Look at all these kick-ass Star Trek podcasts being mentioned. Jesse last week had a voicemail talking about the possibility of crafting some beefs, WWF style beefs between podcasts.
you mean beefs like this?
I got a girl back home.
I wonder who won.
I got a girl back
I
home.
wonder who won.
I got a girl back home.
I wonder who won.
I got a girl back
I wonder
home.
who won.
I got a girl back
I wonder
home.
who won.
Not beef.
Like those beefs?
No,
Not
beats.
Beef.
Beefs.
Oh.
Beeves.
Beeves.
Oh.
Sustained antagonism. That definition of beef.
I saw them burn their bodies. And it's just where they stood.
Thanks, kid.
Totally some strange stuff in this episode.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. It's beefs.
We'll get to
On the
that.
subject of beefs, where's the beef?
Where's the beef? So I don't know. Like I said last week, the problem is it's hard
So
to
we're
have
gonna
beef
have
with you. We respect these other people too much.
Are we gonna have a three-way beef between
sounds like that Isaac guy's starting some shit.
Yeah.
He's got to be starting something.
Yeah.
Pretty sure I made
He
that
said
joke
that
last
the
week.
stuff that I'm into, he's not into, and I was really offended
That's
by
right.
that.
And he had different opinions about stuff.
You know, the problem with that is it was so personal that it really cut deep, man. You know? I'm just saying there's got to be a line we draw with these beefs, okay? And I think he crossed it a little bit.
Hey, Jesse, I just figured out.
Hey, Jesse. Hey, Jesse.
It took me a moment, but I figured out what Dan was doing. He's very clever. It's this recursive business. What he's done is in claiming we've got to limit the beefs, he was actually framing it as a beef.
Exactly.
That's right.
He was generating beef by pretending to say, or not pretending, by stating we should not have a beef.
I always have.
That's clever because what happens is when that is inflicted upon a weaker mind, the weaker mind collapses in confusion.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I saw them with my own eyes.
Do not tangle with Dan.
I know, right?
He will fuck you up.
The beef
mentally.
The beefsmith. I'm the beefsmith.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't scare me.
Let's talk about this episode. Talk about this episode?
I mean, this episode was like fine, I guess. It just didn't. I think one of the issues I had was they had this whole Kess business that they just didn't really. I was wondering, is there an episode that happens? I don't remember subsequent episodes where we get more Kess powers.
We do.
We do
here and there.
Here and there.
The boiling
yeah,
Vulcans.
Yeah, okay, no.
She likes to boil the Vulcans.
No. I take that back. I do remember those episodes, but I didn't see anything that was sort of a direct continuation of what happened here.
So
and was
I really don't like this stuff either.
Yeah, and
I don't think they should ever given her powers. Right? It's a hat on a hat.
I know.
It's a hat on a hat. She is a 2-year-old elf alien that only lives to 9 years and dates space crepes. She's got enough shit for her character to deal with to be interesting.
She's got weird ears.
I think it's a classic example.
Fucked up ass hair.
Please elaborate.
Hey, don't hold anything back, Jesse.
Have a confection bar and calm down.
This is like the beginning of her slowly going mad.
Yeah, so
this is the beginning of the show. It's like
exactly.
But but
you know what I'm saying? Like, why they thought they needed to add something to her to make her more interesting, I guess. But it never made it more interesting. It made it less interesting somehow.
And as far as like this, as contained as this episode was, it was just kind of confusing. Now, once again, I guess they do approach it later, so it's supposed to be kind of like this is something we're gonna have grow over time. Yes. But it just kind of always felt a little disconnected or something. Like it's just.
I agree.
And
unnecessary.
And at the end of the
disconnected and unnecessary.
So you have Neelix, who's like basically like pulling the move you shouldn't be. It's like, well, it's just you must have been imagining it. It's like, motherfucker, don't say that shit.
Neelix is extra assholiness.
Yeah,
he always says the wrong thing.
I know, and
he's well-meaning. I'll buy that, but he
sort of gets
often does
he
the
gets a
wrong
little
thing.
better as the show goes on. But this is way early on, and he's a piece of shit.
And the doctor, he was kind of half right, I guess, because he was kind of dismissive. He just said, what did he say? He said, "Oh, your brain's just kind of doing some random flex. But it's coming out as nonsense garbage you're inventing. It's all in your head. You're crazy and weird." Basically, is what the doctor said in a nicer way. That's not a nice thing to say to somebody. But point being,
he's
point being is the doctor was a little bit more correct in Neelix. He was incorrect in that it wasn't just some random gunk. It was related to something. But he
Apparently.
did. But when he referenced, I guess you have these sort of like emerging powers or whatever. Like I guess he was like half right in a way, because like they weren't random, but it wasn't that she was just flexing her brain because she was gaining powers, but like, I don't know. He was just observing that you may be getting some powers into your brain, except he just dismissed that there was any value to them, basically.
Yeah.
And he just said, take two of these and call me in the morning was the joke on that one.
Yeah. It was a good joke.
It was a good joke. Yeah.
I did enjoy the early version of the doctor who's all grumpy, doesn't have his protocols yet for being able to turn himself on and off, etc.
He doesn't really know people yet.
Yes.
He keeps turning off.
So that's all kind of fun. But I agree on the Kess stuff, and it was acute in this episode. It wasn't cute. It was acute.
It was acute.
Yeah,
it was acute because the character has enjoyable bits to the character. In Caretaker,
now
later in the
calm
first
down.
season, there's interesting stuff there. I just think that the adding magic powers, it didn't fit the character ultimately, and
it just kind of came out every once in a while to sort of give the plot some movement or something.
And I think that's what I didn't like about that, because in this case,
it didn't feel natural. It just felt synthetic.
First of all, the other comment I was going to make, and we've mentioned it before, but one issue that Voyager had, as much as I love Voyager, one sort of consistent issue among a few was its extreme reliance on technobabble.
Yeah.
Like this.
This episode, what was in my note is like this episode was solved through technobabble.
Yeah.
If you tried to follow along with what they were doing, you just have to be like, okay, they got the thing that makes that happen. Don't worry about all the words they're saying. It doesn't matter. When they press the button, a thing happens on the screen. That's all you need to get. But they spend so much time explaining it.
Exactly. Unnecessary time explaining it. And then the relationship to Kess is that Kess is doing all this sensing whatever through time or whatever Guinan-ish type stuff, except unlike when Guinan in yesterday's Enterprise sensed that there was a problem in the timeline, which was all mysterious, and it was a shortcut to telling like a really interesting story and providing some information that would be the impetus for telling this story. So it had a very important plot point there. Kess, this entire episode, nothing Kess does really was useful.
Because only Janeway figures it out at the very end. Is what's happening.
Yeah,
like,
how can you feel their presence?
And the whole like scanning stuff is perfectly fine. And as a writer, you could have done all this without Kess and just made the scanner slightly better.
I guess maybe they were trying to like introduce this magic powers, but I guess it's
because they wanted her to do something. I guess.
Yeah, they wanted her to have a role in the episode somehow, but it wasn't needed. So I guess it's hard to tell if they just gave her magic powers to give her a bigger role in this episode or in the whole series, or they just didn't follow through enough with the magic powers that they decided to go with. But it was all kind of weirdly sort of like kind of ambiguous and not really well explained. I'll say at the end of the big loser in this episode here though is Kess, because at the end of the episode,
I know. Everyone's just like, "What's up?"
So
what's up with Kess?
Like what? So was she left permanently damaged by the fact that she imagined people burning to death and nobody believed her at the end?
This is the beginning of her descent into madness.
Right. So at the end of the episode, because we see her like initially at the beginning of the episode when she senses all that shit happening, and she's like,
I saw them burning.
She's probably thinking about she saw like Janeway burn.
That's just where they stood.
It's funny because she's doing such a good job.
Give me the bag.
Delete the wife.
Well, what I was saying is that we see her at the beginning, like this is really stressing her out. It sucks for her, understandably, right?
Yes.
But at the end of the episode,
witnessing a Holocaust.
When we rewatch, when the end of the episode happens, and we're sort of redoing the beginning of it, like. This scene where Kess walks onto the bridge, this would have happened after she had that breakdown, right? But you notice when she came onto the bridge and Janeway was like, looks like there's no one there. Like, she was just like, oh, LOL, haha. Like, Kess was like, oh, cool. Like, suddenly she's not stressed out anymore. Yeah. Suddenly she's just like, oh, haha, I guess everything's all good then. Even though she just freaked out and saw some horrendous shit like minutes earlier, the episode ends with that in her brain. Nobody believes her. She's got this memory that's unresolved in her head. There's no closure, but she's like putting on this face, like, oh,
Yeah.
you know. So,
What they were doing was, again, the direct equivalent to in yesterday's Enterprise. At the end, when everything's resolved, it's also like this episode. It's a reset button, and Guinan comes in and does a sort of double check and smiles coyly, and we're like, okay, Guinan understands that something was weird, and now it's back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it worked in that episode because I don't know. It was set up differently. It was more subtle, and it wasn't as incongruous or incongruous. Do you have a preferred pronunciation?
Incongruity,
incongruous, incongruous.
I'm fine with either one. That's a good point.
No, it can be either way. I think, but incongruous. There's nothing hard about saying. That.
So at the end, they did the thing where, like I just said, where they replayed the end at the beginning, like we're just talking about now. But like, I always, whenever they do that, I always want to know: did they just replay the same sounds, or did they re-record them? And so I recorded a couple of them. So I
love this. This is one of my favorite things when Dan does the overlapping sound clips, and we attempt to suss out whether or not they are the same or acted differently.
Right.
Now, before Dan plays it, part of the fun of this is that. And Dan's gotten to do this a number of times. And a lot of times it's like, oh, it's so close, but I'm not 100% sure. But what's perhaps the most fun is when we build it all up and then Dan plays it and it's very obviously two different sound clips. Right. I have no idea what's going to happen this time, if it's going to be one of the close ones or one of the far away. But no matter what, it's going to be great.
I'm wrapped.
I think there might be something. There might. It could be cool. It could be lame. I mean, it might be either one. It might be neither. It might be one.
I mean, I just argued they would both be cool.
Yeah. So either way, it's always cool. Well, even I can't
wait.
Either way, it's gonna be cool.
Apparently you can, Jesse.
Yeah.
I guess I'm gonna have to. So speed it up.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. So I'm gonna play the sound from the first time they did it, and then the last time they did it on the repeat part. So here's Harry.
I hope so.
Very obviously the same, right? Those were two different ones.
I hope so. I hope so.
Sounds
I hope so.
To me.
Sounds the same.
Mostly, yeah.
Sounds.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope
You're trying
so.
to trick me, man.
Okay, here's another one.
Harry, 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 Harry.
To me, it sounds like they're the same, but they play different background noises.
A little different, yeah.
So the music is different.
Harry, 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 Harry.
It's different music at the second one.
It does sound
Is that
the
the second
same.
time you see it for the second one?
The music is on the second time, yeah.
Harry, 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 Harry.
Wait a second.
Harry, 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 Harry. Harry, 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 Harry.
Yeah.
I think it's the same.
I think it's the same.
Although I caught what you were saying.
They just
that
make
that
it sound slightly different.
Very
with the
last
background.
Yeah, the very last
is
one.
Like, there's like a scoopy. There's like a scoopy.
There's a scoopy.
Yeah.
But
I
it might
think
it
that
could be
might
edited.
be yeah
That's
that
Might be because it's
yeah.
interesting because like the sounds around it can change. How
Sounds around?
Sounds around. Pounds around.
The
Okay.
sounds around.
I'm gonna zip through these other ones because I think these are the, so.
Take your time.
So here's another one.
Let her go. Let her go. Let her go. Let her go.
It's the same.
Sounds the same to me.
Okay, here's another one.
I never broke any record. 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 I never broke any record.
Okay, do you think that's?
I mean, it's really close as far as I can tell.
Now I'm gonna play this one. It's gonna be the same as this, except there's another one after it.
Okay.
So here's this one.
I never broke any record.
And who are they going to check it with?
I never broke any record.
And who are they going to check it with?
That was different.
That was different. That was different. Everything else was the same. And it's.
And who are they going to check it with? And who are they going to check it with? And who are they going to check it with? And who are they going to check it
So
with?
at some point they diverged.
Yeah.
At some point they diverged, but
very
it was
interesting.
weird. Like that when they did the exact point.
And you don't
they
just have the whole clip of either.
I was thinking about doing that, but then I didn't.
All right.
During a break, I could probably whip it
So
together.
that
right
was
now.
a really good first-time listener.
Whip it good.
This was a excellent demonstration of Dan.
Yeah, actually, during break, I could whip together real quick just those two sounds if you cared later.
Speaking of breaks, just about that time.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Just about that time.
Oh, there was speaking of pronunciations.
We're from Kalto Province.
And
He told me 4 people came today from Calto.
Kalto and Kalto.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Kalto
that's
and
just how
Kalto.
she says things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah.
Countdown.
How do you know the kid's not wrong? Latika.
Yeah.
That kid's always wrong, dude.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about that child and so much more when we return from the break.
Bye.
Be right back.
I'll be back for you.
I'll be back. I'll be back.
I'll be back.
I'll be back.
I'll be back.
Explosion.
And we're back.
I'm back.
You ready?
I suggest we proceed.
All right, so that was actually
Where would I
an
start?
uncharacteristically long break as we wrestled with a few
We
things.
actually took a real break for real.
Yeah.
So when you played the Arnold Schwarzenegger "I'm Back," it caught me off guard because it had actually been some number of minutes since we
It
had
meant something.
last heard your thing.
Oh yeah, you'd forgotten. Yeah, the joke was ruined for us.
Not to spoil the secret, but that often our breaks are quite brief.
Oh no!
In this case,
They're kind of
it's quite long.
artificial.
It's just a crazy idea.
Okay, well, now, during the break, as promised,
let's do it!
Dan has pulled together the audio of the interaction between
Pull it together, man.
Tom and Harry.
You're a greedy son of a bitch.
I do not know how that applies to this
Because
conversation.
based upon as promised, we're giving people things, and because they're greedy and they need it from us.
You're saying the audience is greedy.
Yes.
Because we offered them something.
He's being mean to him.
And now we're providing it to them.
Yeah.
Before we even have any feedback from the audience, given that this is not live.
We're dangerous.
Yeah, well, all right.
We should do a live one.
I would like to do a live one. I think it'd be fun.
Chief O'Brien?
Yeah,
Exactly.
We'll do that at some point.
Balana's on it.
Indeed.
Balana's on it.
But
Balana's on it.
before we rent out concert space in order to do a live episode of the It's Got Star Trek podcast in front of
I don't get it.
a studio audience.
Your cranium call.
We have to play the clip that Dan put together. It took great effort.
Yeah. See, I'm used to out exporting by each track per file, but I had to export each track as one file.
I had to export.
I had to export. Normally,
each track.
I export as many files as there are tracks.
Plus.
Hey, Dan.
If I could do it in Notepad++, I would. But normally, I export in multiple files, a number of files equal to the number of tracks. But in this is a many-to-one relationship that I had to do this time. I had to export many tracks into one file, and I'm not used to it.
Are you a nerdophobe?
No, well.
You're being nerdophobe.
You ever heard Nardwar?
No.
Nardwar?
He gives interviews. His songs are like Nardwar, Nardwar.
With this
It
artist.
sounds good.
And then he interviews people, and his deal is he always knows way too much information about him, and they're all freaked out by it.
So, this audio recording that we've talked about so highly.
So what we haven't explained exactly what it is.
I think, again, remember, Dan, it has not been as long for the audience as it has been for us.
Okay, well,
they just heard you playing clips from Harry and Tom interacting,
right?
Planning some sexual assault of some sort, and
that was creepy.
And it happened at the beginning of the episode, and it happened at the end of the episode.
Some sort of sisters.
And now we're playing them on top of each other.
Dan played the audio and found that the bulk of the audio was clearly identical, replayed, except for one little part. And now, because we don't know where they diverged, Dan has pieced together those two tracks, layered them on top of each other, and boom, he's about to play it.
And he's
going to play it soon.
If it diverges, you be the judge of when, where, and if.
All right,
here we go.
Harry. You really think she's gonna wait for you?
I hope so.
Let her go. Let her have a husband and kids and a good life. While you and I have the Delaney sisters.
I told you, I need to run a translator diagnostic.
You need to run a self-diagnostic. Look, they come as a pair. It's a double date or no date. Come on. I told them all about you.
What did you tell them about?
Well, for one thing, how you broke the single pilot speed record at the Academy.
Record?
Robot.
I never broke any record.
And who are they going to check it with?
Chakotay to Captain Janeway.
There we go. Yeah.
It was just the very end.
Yeah. A little bit out of phase.
Report!
We're at the leading edge of a shockwave.
Apparently they're just playing the episode.
Perhaps that's just comes with when you rectify a time loop.
Yeah, there's just a little bit of
There's just a little
of the
drag.
same. But when you do a time loop, part of it is identical, but then the very end of that conversation, you say the same things, but you say it differently.
Right.
At first you'd say it exactly the same, but then it's like you say the same thing but differently.
That's how you know you fixed it.
Yeah, that's how you know you got in a time loop and you fixed it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was fun. And it reminded us to discuss the Tom is horny bit.
Oh, yeah.
The
Horny,
early season, Tom is a criminal.
Mm-hmm.
He was court-martialed.
Imprisoned in New Zealand, of all places.
Of all fucking places.
And then he was taken out of prison on special assignment by Captain Janeway, who needed a crackerjack pilot to go on this mission to chase down some wily Maquis.
I don't understand.
Little did she
The
know
very same Maquis on
that
the
they
crew.
would be hurled across the galaxy, and she'd be cooped up with this womanizing fella who apparently has a gal in every port, even though he was in prison. So it's a little confusing. Because did he have girlfriends in prison? I'm not sure exactly what the options are. Right? That's a thing. Right?
No one
Who knows?
believes those stories.
Well, yeah. That's
At
the other
first,
thing.
I wasn't sure whether it was going to be a double date or he was just trying to fix up Harry Kim with like two chicks.
Oh, it's a double date.
Wow, yeah, clearly.
I know. It became
he
apparent once I
explained it
paid
eventually.
attention to what he was actually saying.
yeah,
but like at first, it was like, what's going on here?
He
The
wouldn't do
Delaney
anything
twins.
at least at that
was
point in the
really
show.
freaky-deaky,
At that point in the show, he wouldn't do anything that didn't directly benefit him.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, totally.
Totally.
Although it was an odd scenario to present.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because-
Like, let's lie to them.
Well, no. Listen, even before that, like even before the very sitcom-y late 80s, early 90s sexual
like
politics.
Saved by the Bell or something.
Yeah. Before all of that, just the scenario that they've set up in the 24th century in Gene Roddenberry's Star Trek.
Gene,
ostensibly.
Calm down.
In this whole setup,
Ostensibly
the scenario they've set up
hey, you just
is
you
that
just said that.
there's sisters.
And they're
There's
Delaney sisters.
The Delaney sisters.
There's sisters that have been posted to the same ship.
Are they twins or
Well,
are they just sisters?
It sort of seems like they might be, but then you'd think they'd say the Delaney twins. So now that's a clue. The omission of the assertion that they're twins suggests they are not twins, which means it's an older and a younger sister who are posted to the same ship.
It
And,
created fractures in
somehow
time.
and most importantly, have a peculiar trait, which is that they will only date pairs of men.
Right, yeah.
Are they perhaps
Now, what's the problem?
conjoined? Do you think they're conjoined sisters? I think they might be conjoined because
I don't think so.
Why would they have a rule that you've got to bring a date for my sister? I mean, yes, I understand that in the 1950s that might have been a thing on a 1950s television program, and maybe that's where they're getting it, since so much of Tom Paris's character ends up being built
Maybe it's
around
just
his
easier
weird
to break.
obsession.
But maybe it's just easier to break the ice.
He
when
likes
you have
pickup
you have
trucks.
wingmans, wing persons.
No, okay,
Wingman.
I get it, but I don't know. To me, it's like these are adult Starfleet officers,
yes, they're
presumably.
adults, right?
And it's like, okay,
I don't know about
No, yeah,
some
this
of
is
them.
some.
I'm gonna hang out with my sister on a date.
This is not adult behavior, like adult on a starship behavior. Yeah.
It's either they're conjoined sisters, or we don't know. Are they at this stage? We don't know. Are they an alien race that this is part of their culture or something? It would be interesting.
Well, the name's Delaney. It's not a,
But it comes off as a very old school, childish. There's childish sexuality.
yeah, absolutely.
It's not even bro-ish.
It's very regressive.
It was regressive and infantile.
Yes.
And yes, Paris does eventually graduate from this, and yes, it's still funny. Like
Totally.
it is funny. It's amusing.
It's
But the problem is when you sort of examine the context, it's like Paris is all like trying to manipulate this guy, this poor guy Harry Kim.
Yeah.
And as Dan mentioned, making him lie.
They just got
force him to
lost
lie.
in the Delta Quadrant. It just happened.
And yes, why wouldn't they have that information in the computer about what the records that Harry did or did not accomplish in Starfleet Academy?
Yeah.
I don't know. Very old school vibes. That's sort of stuck out in this episode.
Don't listen to the guy that got court-martialed.
Now
Precisely.
that stuff aside, otherwise, I really enjoyed Tom Paris in this episode, and partly because of that insane child with that crazy scream. Can you? What the fuck was that?
I know.
Where did that come from? What did the directors say? Well, I want to know. This was directed by. Oh man, why am I? The name is slipping. But he's one of the people who's directed 1 million Star Trek episodes.
I'm gonna look at it.
I want to say
this is another.
Grossman, but
it's often the case in like a movie or show where there's some kind of like alien or some unusual.
Les Landau.
Yes, Les Landau.
Some unusual kind of character, and like the only one that can see them for their true self is some poor kid who gets traumatized, and no one's gonna believe the kid.
It's a trope, and I like that. It's just, what did Les Landau say to this kid, and then what did he say to Jennifer Lien playing Kess to get those performances out? This kid screaming, and then Kess's horrific.
So that
I saw them burn their bodies.
Like he got really good performances out of these people.
That kid was in like the Dumb and Dumber movies.
Oh, really? Was he?
And
was he the?
We're not sure yet.
He was in that TV show Get a Life also.
I did not
with
recognize
Chris
him from
Elliott?
that.
Yeah, with Chris
I watched
Elliott.
that show. Was he the kid who had the bird in Dumb and Dumber?
He was
the headless bird.
Pretty bird.
He was.
Was he the kid with the visually impaired kid?
He was Billy in 4C.
Oh, Billy.
And then he was in the sequel at age 30.
I believe he was the child.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
They gave a bird to that had no head on it, or they had the head taped on.
Now he lives in Rancho Cucamonga, California.
Yeah. Is that a real place? It always sounds
Rancho
like that's
Cucamonga. I know.
I know it's
every
a real
place
but
in California sounds made up.
It does sound a little made up.
Anyway,
Anyway,
Zappa lived there.
Dan, you were saying?
For some reason, that made me think of that when they first beamed down to the planet. That they were the establishing shot of that building. I couldn't tell if that was a strip mall or a government.
Jesse can tell you what it is.
A government building.
Jesse's going to tell you what it is right now.
The Tillman Water Reclamation Plant,
Which is interesting because I have an ancestor named Tillman, and my parents.
Wait a second.
My parents' cat is named Tillman.
But they've filmed several Star Trek episodes. They filmed the Justice episode of TNG.
Wait. I'm sorry. I got to.
Hey Jesse, you got to wait for a second.
Yeah, I'm waiting.
First of all, Patrick, how did you know Jesse had the answer? And Jesse, how did you have that answer?
I mentioned it before we started the podcast.
It was a matte painting. Oh, did you? What'd you say?
I said the Tillman Water Reclamation.
he said exactly.
But we looked at a matte painting. It was a matte painting.
No, there was some matte painting, and in addition, there was also an actual place.
Whenever they
I
go
believe
to
the
like
matte painting was like an extension.
So wait, Jesse, did you read something that said that matte painting was actually representative of the Tillman Water Reclamation Plant?
Jesse reads stuff.
I
He's
read
got
up
notes.
on the production of the episodes,
and it said that matte.
Jesse regularly provides
it was
facts
not a matte
and
painting.
figures about
It was on location.
But like it looked like it was trash, like out of a zombie movie.
Like this was the one where they used like the inside of the building.
Were you sure? Okay, maybe the inside of the building was. I'm talking about the outside shot.
Yeah, there's some matte extensions out there. I don't think it's. I think it's building with extensions.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
that could be.
So what building was it supposed to be for the aliens?
It was just a place to chill out.
I was just trying to say is that I couldn't tell if it was supposed to be a strip mall or a government building. That's all.
All right.
In their world, not our world.
Okay.
But that is interesting that about in our world, it's a water reclamation
I'm just saying. Okay, yeah, like they use it. They've shot various movies there. Like Rising Sun, they used that.
I like Rising Sun.
Yeah, totally.
Rising Sun's a great book, by the way.
Very like whenever they do like the Starfleet Academy and like the gardens at the start, that's the same place. The Justice episode of TNG that we spoke about recently, that was filmed there. This is one of the ones where they it seems like they used the inside of the plant, and because you don't see any like gardens and stuff.
You wanted the truth. All right, here's the truth.
Whenever I think of Rising Sun, I always think of the scene where like they show the power of video editing and they like pull like it's two people talking. Is Wesley Snipes in that movie?
Yes.
Yeah, Wesley Snipes is one of the
totally.
And like isn't there a scene where they like he's like, you look what you can do with video. So keep in mind this was the 90s.
Yeah.
And when was the book written?
It's an old movie.
The book was written in
knows?
early 90s?
Yeah.
Way early.
Yeah.
So
it was after Jurassic
and it
Park,
showed this video and it showed him casually highlighting this head on this video and moving it over and switching their heads on the video. And I was just like, you can't do that. You can't do that just like that. But you can now.
Now you can.
Yeah, you can do that.
It's a fact.
Back then, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, it had Sean Connery in it as well.
Hell yeah, it did.
The book is better than the movie.
Yes, so is Fear, and so is Congo. Yeah. All examples of the books.
13th Warrior.
Yeah. Well, the 13th Warrior and the book and the movie are very
cool.
They're very different.
Neat.
They're different.
Calm down.
Neato.
All right, that was your Crichton Minute.
Crichton
And
Minute.
Now we're back to
So-
Time and Again.
So is this supposed to be drawing parallels with nuclear energy or something like that? Because they kept talking about like, well, it's
Did
a
you
big-
say nuclear?
I did not say
He did
nuclear.
not- he did not say
I'm just
nuclear.
playing. I'm
You're
sorry.
just fucking with me.
I was totally ruining everything.
I'm not 100% sure what the message was trying to be.
because they were talking about like
it was analogous.
because they were talking about like how it's this great power source, and then someone else was like, oh, they're not using it for, because Janeway's like, I don't think there was a war. I think that this is what they use for their power, and it's running through their system, and it exploded.
Yeah.
You know, so it kind of made it seem like it was.
It was an analogy, I think.
I don't know if they were necessarily trying to be that heavy-handed about it.
No, lightly handed.
Yeah,
Lightly
I mean,
handed.
well, I don't know. That's the easiest analogy to make. It's problematic, and I think it's an upsetting and problematic analogy in real world. It takes things to the extreme.
It's something that's suggestive of nuclear technology.
But
nuclear.
nuclear. You can insert
nuclear.
different things in there. You could.
Yeah, you can.
Well, I mean, like, I don't know, global warming or something. You could imagine various things where it's we're doing something that we think is helping us, but is actually hurting us.
Killing the
so there's a lot of things that could potentially fit into.
I want to know about the rotations, intervals, and fractions of the timepiece.
Did you suss out that at all? I gave a brief moment to trying to think about the math, and I realized
they got
that
some weird shit
I
going
don't know the circumference and size of this planet.
Exactly.
I don't know the orbital periods. I don't know any of this shit.
They got moons.
So I don't really know what to say here. They seem to figure it out pretty quick. But I think that's
They're in
because
Starfleet.
I think the writers gave them the answer. If you ask me.
Okay, one thing is this backwards explosion comparable to that anomaly in All Good Things? Remember, because it's backwards. Because at one point she was like, most explosions happen forward in time. Shockwaves from most explosions dissipate into the future, but we're speculating based on what Paris told us he saw, that these dissipate in the past. So that's like it's like the anomaly in All Good Things that goes. Except that anomaly
It is weird.
That anomaly in All Good Things was goofy because apparently it grew in reverse in time, but they were able to watch it grow. There was a grace period where like
a paradox.
Like no, remember when the
I mean, that's the whole thing.
In no, but
that's
in
the
all
whole gimmick, the whole punchline.
When in All Good Things, if in All Good Things, that anomaly was growing backwards in time. So at the point of inception, if you're moving forward in time, you would have never seen the anomaly, right? It would have been given birth and immediately started growing in the past. But they were able to come back and look at it, and wasn't it even a little bigger in future time? Like there was a grace period where it was growing in future time, but it also grew in reverse time. But it just grew a little bit in future time, and then it shrank back. Don't you remember that in All Good Things? How like it wasn't fully a reverso anomaly?
Yeah, both Jesse and I are nodding and verbally saying, yes, we remember that.
But I'm just saying, like,
I don't know what he's gonna do.
Well, no, is that the effect I have on you? You think like if you don't respond the way I want you to, I'm gonna like fucking knock you in the head?
It's a little scary. Jesse is a little worried here. He has to sit closer.
But I mean, did you no one had a problem with that? No one had a problem with that anomaly in All Good Things? How it grew a little bit forward in time for a bit before it went backwards?
I don't know the right answer to this.
Because when something goes backwards in time, the moment of birth, you would never see the birth because it's immediately you're going forward and it's going backwards. But you could see their birth. They were able to see it while they were going forward in time. You know what I'm talking about? Like
I think so.
I think the idea, Dan, I think the intention in All Good Things, which, by the way, All Good Things must come to an end. I think the intention of All Good Things was precisely that it was incomprehensible and that you couldn't logic your way through it because of the inherent paradox. And to answer
I don't know. I think that was just a mistake in the writing. I think that was just a mistake in the writing.
All right, Tim Robinson.
I know, that didn't sound like him, didn't it? I was thinking, I didn't even try to do that. I just immediately,
well, I don't know. It doesn't sound like a good idea.
But to answer your original question before you took us down this alternate path, this other alternate timeline, was yes. I do think it's similar. This episode was produced around the same time as not too distant in time from All Good Things, so perhaps that was an influence.
Speaking of getting walloped, how about that hit Janeway took at that one point in the episode?
She got socked
with that rifle.
She got fucked up.
That was brutal, man. I watched that like 3 or 4 times. I was like, oh, I wasn't like laughing. I was just like, oh my god.
No, it was rough,
like it looked like it hurt.
And she
did a good job.
And they were trying to sock people with that double punch business.
Yeah, that Paris did the double punch, double axe handle. Ah!
Oh no! What happened, dude?
My shit fell over.
Oh no!
My shit got fucked up.
What have you done?
What have I done? I haven't stopped doing. Yeah, so like she got hit. What's up with those they just had pistols that made zap noises.
They looked like Walther PPKs, slightly modified.
Right, but then they made zappy noises like they were laser guns, but they weren't. But the other
very confusing.
The other question I wanted to bring up is the approach of the Prime Directive in this episode. It's similar to the episode with Worf and Polly when they go to that planet.
Yeah.
Homeward. I brought this up in a previous episode where Patrick thinks that Homeward is the incorrect implementation of the Prime Directive on the part of Jean-Luc Picard.
It doesn't make any sense.
Do you think that Janeway is also equally flawed in this one? Because at first, she's like, because even Paris was like, we can't let these people die. Fuck the Prime Directive. Like that's it's not meant for that. You know. He even had a line about this.
The consequences would have to be better than mass destruction.
You know, and so, but Janeway's like, no, gotta let him die. So.
I agree. Yes,
with Paris.
With Paris, yeah.
You asshole. You believe with that. Agree. Believe with. Agree with. You agree with that cad, Paris.
Hey. He has many opinions that I don't agree with in this particular case. I do agree with Paris. And
you think Janeway's just as flawed as Picard in their reasoning?
Yeah, but again, I didn't even think of it. You know, I'm glad you pointed it out because it really didn't even occur to me on this most recent watch through. Partly because I think some of this I just wasn't paying attention to. I was trying to.
Oh my God, the scene where Harry Kim and B'Elanna Torres were explaining what was going on was so boring. Yeah. It was like the most boring felt like I was, even when in TNG, when they're sitting at the conference table, it doesn't feel like I'm in an office meeting. That felt like I was at a meeting at work. It sucked.
Yeah. Because
like they got gold shirts on and they're talking.
Well, think about cause and effect. And cause and effect has the famous, it has that famous scene in the ready room or the conference room where Geordi is explaining what's going on.
For what?
It's a sci-fi idea, but they don't spend it all talking about technobabble and gibberish. And I love technobabble. Technobabble is a great literary tool and it's fun for world building.
When used correctly.
Exactly. So what Geordi does is he gets up and he says a thing. He's like, we're in a time loop because of some tachyon, whatever.
Right.
So there's a little bit of technobabble to justify the thing, but the concept is what drives it. It's a time loop. You can understand that, and then they go through and explain like what does that mean? What are the implications? And thus you can craft a wonderful story around it.
This reveals itself as a time loop at the end, or are you just supposed to like sort of assume that it's a time loop? But it still doesn't. It's still not really clear what's.
It's not entirely clear, and it is a cool concept though. The idea of coming to a planet and like flipping back and forth, and like the day before a catastrophic event. That's a fantastic.
But did Paris miss like that class in temporal physics because he was like, wait a minute, something in the future can affect the past? Like, isn't that like 101? Shit.
Yeah, I know.
No? But he was in that jail that whole time.
From a literary sense, he's being the audience surrogate here.
Obviously. I'm not. See, when I say
in universe, Paris is a pilot. He's not the most clever.
Pilot something.
And I'm not trying to insult
What's
pilots.
A pilot?
Well, a pilot, he's the guy who sits in the front of the plane, but that's not important.
Not like you don't scare me.
Anyways, when I bring up complaints like that, yes, I'm often referring to the in-universe reason, not the out-of-universe reason.
The in-universe reason must be that we're meant to think he's kind of stupid.
Like, there was another thing that Harry was explaining about, like, when your badges break. We don't need no stinking badges. Badges? I saw that movie with that line, because originally it's...
Are you talking about, was that the...
UHF was where I first saw that, where it's like, badgers?
Yeah,
we don't need no stinking badgers.
Blazing Saddles.
No, that was UHF.
Well, yeah. UHF
No, but Badges
does the funny.
But Badges that's actually from an old Western.
Yes.
Like not Blake.
It's like some kind of Western.
Some kind of Western. He's just like, and he says it. He doesn't like exclaim it like the character in UHF does. I forget his name. He's just like Badges. We don't even know stinking Badges. He just says it like that.
Yeah.
But it
evolves over time.
Does he say like the Minutemen?
Huh?
There's that Minutemen song where they're like badges. Boom,
Oh,
boom, boom.
Oh, is there?
Boom,
Boom, boom.
We don't need no badges. Boom, boom, boom.
Is that off of Double Nickels on the Dime, or is that one of the post merch?
I think it's a different one. Yeah, it's like a.
Is it post merch or merch?
It's some
post merch.
Merch.
Why did I think it was merch?
Merch. No, it's merch. I think.
Yeah,
it's merch.
It's one of them.
Anyway,
anyways,
what the fuck are you guys talking about?
I'm talking about the Minutemen.
All I know is They Might Be Giants and Weird Al Yankovic.
Some people might know what we're talking about. It doesn't matter. We're gonna go on with.
So anyway, Harry was saying that the comm badges were designed to self-activate when the casing is destroyed to help searchers locate victims. Once again, that was for the audience, because why was he explaining how comm badges work to his fellow officers?
Yeah. Exposition.
Yeah, exactly. He goes, oh, I can't even find it. Oh man,
your search foo is
the comm. He goes, the comm. Okay, the comm badge. I read the period in comm, which was short for communication, so I was like, the comm badge is designed. No, the comm badge is designed to self-activate when the casing is destroyed to help searchers locate victims. Yeah, that's what I just said. Anyway, Kim said that, and there was like Torres and Tuvok were there. Like, you don't need to explain to them how this shit works, but that's once again, yeah, it's for the audience. But you know, they could have done it a little. They could have. Well, it's fine. I'm not gonna. You know, when is it okay? When is it not okay? When's it okay? Sometimes it's okay.
Not entirely sure what you're talking about, but
you know how like he explained how comm badges worked.
Oh yeah, the exposition. Yeah,
it's like why would he say that in that scenario with two experts around?
I don't complain too much about that stuff, but yeah, it is sometimes it's a little.
I think it's more along the lines of that's an order where it's a little lazy. I think
But it stands out more in an episode that has other annoying things happening.
I don't know how else you would explain
You know?
it. I don't know, and I'm not a writer, so I don't want to like shit on like what they do, because like it's the person who doesn't know how to do the thing that complains the most about that thing. You know, it's like I'm no expert writer, so it's easy for me to be like, well, they should have done this, but and I don't know any other good way they could have to explain to the audience how that scene was working.
Wait, I have a suggestion, which is I think this is another example, and I could be wrong.
I could be wrong.
And you can write in at feedback at itsgotstartrek.com. Not feedback. Feedback at itsgotstartrek.com.
What is it?
Subject line, Patrick's wrong this time.
Oh.
Subject line, one of the rare occasions in which Patrick is wrong about something.
Calm down.
If that happens to be the case. But the way I would correct this is simply not even mentioning it, because who cares? The scanners found it. They're adding information that's not necessary. They're adding a criteria that's unnecessary.
You're making a big mistake.
It's the same thing with the Kess thing. They don't need Kess to have magic psychic time powers.
I saw them burn.
They could.
Yeah.
If they wished, simply just say the scanners find this stuff. It simplifies the story. They don't need to add it. And in this case, Harry all going off about like, well, you see, what happens is, why is that necessary? Why not just say like, yeah, the scanner found the thing. Here it is. It's on the floor. It's got scanned.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to add this extra business. It's unnecessary.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I got a little worked up on that because it
Calm down.
I will. I'll try to do my best, because there's no better way to get people to calm down.
Is it about time to go break?
Than to tell them to calm down.
Shh, now. Yeah. Calm down.
Jesse's ready for a break. Jesse, you have to go pee-pee.
You saved my life.
No. I was watching the clock, and we're so like the way we do the clock now, it's all like these 30-minute increments. So like it's all like nice and tight.
Yeah,
it's like
nice
I know when the break's coming.
Ready for break.
Well, speaking of the Prime Directive, I know we got other breaks soon. Each time they use their polaric generator, they open a subspace fracture.
Yeah.
But it seems to permanently damage subspace because they can't do it in the same spot twice. They are damaging subspace. That's got to break the Prime Directive a little bit, I would imagine.
If you need subspace to do stuff.
I mean, it's like when you permanently destroy a part of the universe, that's pretty heavy, even if it's a little bit.
Subspace is kind of iffy, man.
I mean, yes, they did give up on the whole warp drive wears out
exactly.
space
That's
thing,
exactly what I'm thinking. It's like it's whatever the plot dictates.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying though, is I know whatever the plot dictates, but I'm saying why. That's why I'm just saying. Like, I know it's what the plot dictates, but that doesn't make it right, man. Doesn't make it right.
Yeah. Right. When we get back from the break, we will conclude our discussion of Time and Again. Be right back.
I might stop back later, if there's time.
We're counting on it.
Well, we're back.
What?
We're laughing.
Are we back?
We're laughing, so we're back, apparently.
We're all friends now, aren't we?
There we
I
go.
was laughing.
Actually, I know, you started laughing. That made me laugh.
It's as though I can sense the people who are here.
It's Jesse.
Yeah.
And
I'm
Patrick.
here. You're here.
And Dan.
And me here.
You're Dan.
Hey, Dan.
Hey,
Dan, what are you doing?
Hey, Jesse.
Hey, Dan, I do
Hey,
have a
Jesse.
question. And
Hey,
Jesse,
I got a question.
feel free to answer this.
Hey, Jesse.
Hey, what?
Hey, Jesse.
What
Hey,
what are
Jesse.
you doing?
What are you doing?
Oh, no. Okay.
What do you
What-
do?
I want to know whether the gentleman, who I guess was some sort of, I don't know, security officer or whatever.
Oh, the guard?
The guard who was dealing with the kid.
The guard. He was one of my favorite characters.
He was
in
a
this
cool,
episode.
goofy ass
Yeah.
character. Did he suggest?
Oh, sorry about that.
Did he suggest to that child, to Ricky Tikki Tavi? What was the kid's name? TikTok.
Latika.
Latika.
So Latika,
The guard, Jerry Spicer.
who I thought was a charming young actor, who I thought
Calm down.
did a good job.
Brady
even though
Bloom.
the scream kind of freaked me out. Did the guard suggest to the child that he eat a confection bar or a confession bar?
Oh.
Either one would
What
be
is
interesting.
that?
The latter would be
Well,
way more interesting.
Confession bar, is that like a communion wafer?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I know what I think, but here's the line.
Yeah.
Have a confection bar and calm down.
See,
Is it
there,
like,
sure-
is it
pretty
like
sure
a
it's-
Kit Kat or a Snicker?
there it sounds like a confection bar.
Pretty sure it's confection. Although confession bar is better.
Well, when I was
Mars- is it a
watching it, it
Mars
sounded
bar?
like
Because
confession bar.
because that-
Zero bar?
Because that sounds more sinister.
Yes.
It's like
Charleston Chew.
go eat that bar that's going to cause you guilt and pain and stuff,
it's
something like
particularly in the context where he's being nice
Is it
to
a
the
Babe
child,
Ruth?
he's being relatively gentle to the child, but he is also accusing the child of either purposefully or because of an overactive imagination, accusing some perfectly pleasant looking travelers of being demons.
You've been reading too many of those Darkstorm tales, young fellow.
Yeah, and
wish.
yeah,
Well, that's-
we said it already, but I want to read the Darkstorm Tales.
Yeah.
It sounds
I-
like an
I
awesome
wanna read so
fantasy
many,
series.
So many of those.
I want to know
There's
who,
some kind of demon.
There's no such thing
Now,
as demons.
Because we are demons and we eat children.
There are
wait,
demons,
wait,
who do you think is the protagonist of the Darkstorm Tales?
Well,
everybody.
Okay, it's not.
I was
it's
just
not,
gonna-
it's not the
I'm
fucking,
still-
the fucking.
I'm still stuck on the confession bar.
Murder on the Orient
I was
Express.
just trying to say about the confession bar,
All right.
bar before we move
Confession
on to Darkstorm.
bar.
Is because to me it sounds like because he was being so nice to the kid, and you eat the confession bar.
Yeah, exactly. You're
and then-
punishing the kid.
But like then you eat the confession bar, and it's this bar. But what it does is through their magic like nutrients, it makes you feel like horrible inside. It makes you have anxiety,
Or it
and-
makes you tell the truth.
Is it an oath
No,
rod?
no. It's well, yeah, because it's confession. But
Did
like
you say an oath rod?
An
I'm
oath
wait.
rod.
Jesus Christ, it's happening again. It's happening again.
What's happening?
I'm just trying to. I'm just trying to. I'm just trying to say this thing. I'm just trying to say this thing.
What's happening?
I'm saying it's like the confession bar, which yes, it makes you tell the truth, but also part of confession is being repentant.
Absolved.
Is being
Well, repentant and absolved.
You're doing that thing.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to join in. 'cause
I'm not
it's an
doing it this
interesting
time.
conversation.
No, I just want to be a part of the conversation. Now you make me seem like an asshole.
I do want to just be part of it.
Okay, no, but part of it is penitence, right? The penitent
Yes, the
man.
penitent man.
Yes, I know, obviously. The penitent man.
He's talking about Indiana Jones in the Last
Yeah, I know.
Crusade.
Okay, look. So part of the confession bar is it makes you tell the truth, but it also has to give you penitence. And part of that is by filling you the flavor, the nutrients in it fill you full of grief.
Nougats.
Jesse! Patrick!
I'm just laughing. I'm sorry. I mean, nougat does instill a lot of emotions in me. Okay. But yes, the flavors.
It's done. It's fine.
No,
I
no,
get the point.
No, but
I get the point.
No,
It's over now.
I like the point. It was a good
Well,
point.
and it doesn't matter if it was a good point or not. It was ruined by just like this constant like barrage of like, "Rah!"
I suspect
from all y'all.
Since we know that this fellow was saying confection bar.
Yes, I know. I was just trying to make once again. I was trying to make a little funny little quip on
And
the
it was
side.
great.
It was going to be it was going to be a funny quip that took about 5 seconds, and we would have moved on. But then it turns into this shit, which is like, oh haha, so funny. And you see me.
We
you
ruined
think
it.
I'm just going along with it like this part of the bit? No, it's fucking annoying, man.
I know. I get it.
Oh God. I get it.
No,
Are you my fucking
I mean,
psychologist now? It's like
No.
the way you're sitting with your legs crossed and your hands up.
Oh, no, look
hands
at
up,
that guy.
your index finger up by your eye and your thumb under your chin. You're like my fucking psychologist over
He's
there.
in a comfy chair.
I'm
over
just
there.
relaxed. We're on the tail end of this podcast here.
Christ.
I enjoyed your point. I
don't need you to enjoy my point. I just need to make my point.
I think
I'm not looking for affirmation. I'm looking to have a platform. That's what I'm looking for.
I'm sorry that I was fucking around. I'm saying.
Well, it wasn't just you. It was both of y'all. Both of y'all. It's something about. I've come to think that it's something about me. It's something about me that encourages this behavior. Because something
I'm just
about
having a good time.
something about me encourages. It's like you each have a rope and you're running at me with this rope, and either of you holding the rope on either side, and I start saying something, and you neck me with that rope. And I fall on the ground and I can't breathe. And you could
we clothesline you?
Yeah, with the rope. You neck me. You neck me.
I don't. Is that a phrase?
You start necking me.
No, but you were saying
you like go into the corner behind the dumpster and start necking me.
You were saying you weren't looking for affirmation, but sometimes glad
Do we get
things
naked?
sometimes glad things come unlooked for. And so
what the fuck? I mean, I'm sure there's truth to what you're saying, but this is how one talks out of their ass.
Oh yes, no, this is the whole verbal. Yeah, this is a verbal constructions day. I imagine that whoever the protagonist of the Darkstorm Chronicles, the Darkstorm trilogy is, but I bet a portion.
I bet he's cool.
of this story of the first book. Involves
See, the thing is you're laughing.
Having to
it's when I get mad. That's when you guys like have that simpatico, and you're like, "Oh, he's getting mad." Like, you know what would be better? One of us started it, but if we work together, we'll get like this exponential. This.
It's like, this guy's like Donald Duck.
So I'm encouraging you guys.
I do think that the confession bar would be a key part of the plot of the first book of the Darkstorm.
Okay,
this Darkstorm trilogy.
Yeah, and the nutrients would make you feel guilty because that would be part of the penitence of after the confession bar.
It would be a whole thing the main character's dealing with. The main character would wrestle with this.
Thank you, Patrick, for bringing that home for me.
There we go. Okay.
You guys.
That was me mishearing.
You guys.
Confession bar for confection bar.
You guys.
So this is all somehow related to the episode.
Does it have almonds and honey?
Nougat. Maybe it has some nougat. It's like, I don't know if it has nougat. Does that matter? Does it matter?
I think it should. It does matter.
No,
it does matter. Does it have raspberry puree? Does it have nougat?
For confection bar it matters, but for a confession bar, I'm not a huge fan of nougat.
I'm not a huge fan of confessions.
I fucking love nougat. No, I'm not talking about the Three Musketeers.
Yeah,
not that. I don't like
okay.
that. That's not real nougat. I'm talking some European shit that's just
European nougat.
It's hazelnut paste.
I'm European. I'm Patrick European Ireland. I'm Patrick the European Ireland.
I like Europe too.
European, I'm a peon.
We're all a peon.
Jesse's a peon.
Do you ever think that Tuvok thinks
I like to pee.
Do you ever think that Tuvok thinks that everyone is really stupid and he's just kind of tolerating
this
everyone?
Episode,
it seemed like he was kind of just tolerating everyone.
This is one of those Tuvok gets his episodes. There were more of those early on, where Tuvok is being arrogant, and they're taking advantage of the fact that Tuvok was the first full Vulcan.
Yeah.
Main character cast.
You get a whole Vulcan.
So we get a lot of full on Vulcan. None of this Spock wrestling with his identity business, which was wonderful.
This guy has a completely Vulcan identity.
It was wonderful, but it's fun having just a straight up Vulcan, and he's not a young Vulcan.
No, he's old.
He's an older Vulcan.
He's got like 17 kids.
He's experienced. He's got experience. He's got a job. He's in security, which is hilarious. Just the Vulcan taking security all super seriously and logically.
I know, he's so serious.
It's great. But part of that early on in Voyager, which we see here, is where they use him to make a point against relying on pure logic. But of course, in order to make that point, they have to make the pure logic Vulcan fall for some fairly basic logical fallacies, which you wouldn't expect a Vulcan to actually fall for. Vulcans have
I don't get it.
All sorts of assholery. Well, what I'm saying is that he's all like, there's no way that Janeway could be here. I'm using
I know.
Past information about Janeway to predict her future, which sounds more logical than it actually is.
Vulcans don't believe in time.
Especially in the context, especially in the context of
They don't lie either.
time travel and particles and doodads and woo-wahs.
The list gets weirder as it goes on.
Dangly bits.
And all that other jazz.
So there was.
It's a planet with nothing on it.
I don't know if this was a continuity error or if it was just
Or a
implied.
continuity error.
Yes, or that. So Janeway.
You should go and kick him in the balls.
So do you remember the scene right before they were being escorted to the power plant, her and Paris? And that's when Paris was like, wait a minute, you're trying to say that because that was when she spilled the beans, because she'd been telling Paris, Paris, we can't break the Prime Directive. And then she broke the Prime Directive.
He was all like, what the fuck?
Right. And then the next scene, they're walking to the power plant. He's like, what the fuck was that all about? And she's like, oh, because we already broke it. Okay, from between those two scenes, when you look at her in that scene, she's wearing like the civilian clothing. She has her comm badge.
Yeah.
But when they're walking to the power plant, she doesn't have her comm badge anymore. And I'm wondering if that's a continuity error or if it's just implied that they confiscated it.
Because they have it later.
We watched them take the comm badge
I don't
off.
remember seeing them take it.
So you remember that whole business about how Harry Kim found the comm badges?
Yeah.
We see the guy take the comm badges and look at them, and he puts them on the table, conspicuously puts both of them on the table before they leave to go to the power plant.
So when Harry found the comm badge,
so you're right, it is a continuity error.
So when I was watching, first of all, I didn't see the part where he took it off Janeway. What I saw is in that scene.
I made note of it.
In that scene before they were being escorted, I saw Janeway with a comm badge, and I saw Paris did not have a comm badge, and I thought that's why Harry found it, because he found Paris's comm badge. But Janeway still had hers, and then they were being escorted to the power plant. She didn't have it. I didn't see them take it. I'm not denying that. I watched it, and I think I even rewatched it to make sure, and I don't remember seeing it, but I guess I just got to watch it again.
My recollection, because I made note of it, because I thought it was not peculiar, but it was interesting how they made a big deal to have the guy. He takes their comm badges and he puts it down on the glass table. The camera's,
You're a greedy son of a bitch.
The camera's kind of looking from below, and you see him put down the comm badges, and so that's why they find them later. It does seem that if she has the comm badge on after that, then that's a mistake, because they had already confiscated it. But who knows? Who knows? Feedback at itsgotStarTrek.com. Patrick is generally correct about these things, but every now and then,
we throw one for Dan.
Everyone's flawed, so sometimes there's a mistake. So
I'm not joking, Lee.
Sometimes nobody's right.
Yeah. Reality's a strange place.
So the saboteurs were assholes because they were like, if you don't do what we say, I'm going to kill this kid. And Janeway's like, okay.
Janeway called their bluff, and they didn't kill the kid.
But they tried to kill the kid.
But they killed a bunch of other people. Well, eventually, they tried to kill the kid.
In that scene,
they shot Paris,
but they didn't do it immediately. Like the threat was, as soon as you cross us, we're gonna blow that kid's head off.
I know.
Where instead it turned into like a bunch of chaos because they were jokers. These guys were some jokers.
It said this was. They go, your job is to get us past the guards. You'll tell them you're bringing us here to negotiate a settlement of our dispute with the power company. And where was he threatening? There was one point where he was actually threatening the kid.
Yeah,
Are you saying that was
said, I've got a gun on. He said my buddy, whatever his name was, has a gun in the kid's back.
Yeah, so go because
he'll be the first victim.
Okay, she goes,
I cannot and will not do anything to help you.
And then he says, think before you say no. Turla has a weapon on the boy. And then the guard's like, says something, then McCool says something, and then Janeway says, I'm a hostage. These men are here to break into the plant. She pretty much, she like called his bluff like almost immediately.
Yeah, almost immediately.
It was almost immediately.
And he was shocked. His face was
That's
all
what I'm
like,
saying. Like
what?
you just said though that like it was a while before she called his bluff. It's like, no, it happened right in the same scene.
I don't recall saying it was a while before she called
I want to play back the tape and then make sure, because I could have sworn
it wasn't my intention, because in my mind I thought it was a badass scene of Janeway being like, fuck you, I'm calling your bluff, and everything turned into chaos instead of like if the guy was a real like hardcore criminal, the kid would have been dead as soon as she did it, and then they would have started.
My point is it wasn't a bluff though, because he immediately fucking shot. That's what it was. You said he didn't shoot at the kid right away. I'm pretty sure he shot at the kid like right away. That's when Paris got injured, was in that same scene.
Yeah, but it wasn't like, in other words, it wasn't like, oh, she crossed us, double crossed us, boom. It was, she double crossed us, what the fuck is going on? And then people start running and then shooting, and then they shoot, then they tries to shoot at the kid.
Yeah, so
like the kid had already like run away, which is why he couldn't shoot him point blank.
That's why the way
He ran all
so
serpents.
These guys are
the
jokers.
way I'm interpreting that is that she didn't call his bluff. She was like, "Fuck this! Like I can't, I have to risk this kid's life because in my mind, the way
I get you what you're saying.
way I saw the scene is that he did that in response to her saying no, but you interpreted it differently. So that's we're gonna have to.
No, I buy your interpretation just as well. I
don't understand.
To my mind, I thought the calculation was these guys are jokers. And we have no choice but to not help them.
What do you think about their?
I just thought she was gonna be like cold-hearted and be like, "Fuck that kid," because she was already expressed annoyance with that.
What do you think about their outfits? It's all like
the candy
like,
candy corn,
funny dance
candy corn
troupe or something.
Yeah, I know they did. They look like some like Disney
the candy corn
Mickey
people.
Mouse Club kind of.
Yeah.
I'm Mickey Mouse.
So one of those dudes
I'm a
was
soldier.
on an episode of Seinfeld where like
one of the dude with the blonde hair.
He was like
the dude with the Bologna hair,
or the dude with the dark hair.
The darker
yeah,
hair.
I recognize that.
He played this guy in Seinfeld that worked with George, and like George was eating a bunch of shrimp cocktail, and he was like, "Hey George, the ocean called. It's running out of shrimp." And then George like later on comes up with like a comeback, and it's called. That's what the episode is called. It's called Comeback.
What did you say? Comeback.
The comeback.
I thought you said comeback. I'm sorry.
That's obscene. I would never say that.
You guys are silly.
Comeback. Wait, this episode's called Time and Again.
Time and Again.
What are you saying? Comeback.
The Comeback. That was the Seinfeld episode.
Oh, it was
that
the
had
Seinfeld.
the other guy, the guy from this
which dude was it?
episode.
Was it one of the lackeys?
No, it's like one of the main guys. It's like the he's like a little younger. He's got like darker hair.
One of the lackeys in Voyager. Like there was a scene.
No, it's one of the alien guys.
Yeah, one of the lackey alien guys that you don't see too much.
No, it's one of the main guys. Like there's two main guys.
I remember there was a scene where like shit was all exploding, and then one of the dudes was like. It was when subspace was being sliced open, and there was that one guy who was like, "It's gonna fuck everything up," and then you see a shot of two guys just looking at it, going like, "Wah!" They're like got this look like "Wah!"
The resistance guy.
There's really only two guys, and then there was that random third guy who showed up.
Their face looked so just like "Wah!" and that haircut. They all had that. They all had that. Those haircut.
Hair was creepy.
They had goofy
it was like
hair.
some weird.
So like the guy with the darker hair, he was in the Seinfeld.
Okay. Well, yeah, he was the one. He was in my mind. In what I'm remembering, if it's who I think you're saying it is, he had the goofiest look when the subspace was being sliced. He was just like. Grr.
And so George comes up with like some shit about like the jerk store called, and it's running out of you. But like he always the whole episode he's trying to like trap this guy into like some kind of setup where he like gets to say that shit, and then he says it, and it's like. What does it matter? You're the all-time bestseller or something. So the dude totally like carries him.
They could have done that,
and that's like the end of the episode. And like he comes back with some episode, like he finds out that the guy's like wife is dead or something, and he comes up with some super insulting shit like. But you don't ever like.
So are you saying that this episode should have been like that? Like they should have incorporated it? Or are you just reciting the Seinfeld
I'm just
episode?
talking about the fact that this dude was in that Seinfeld episode.
Right. Yeah, that was.
It's got Seinfeld.
That fascinates me.
I thought. Yeah. I was thinking like you were saying like they should have incorporated that line into this episode all sneaky like without.
This happened before Seinfeld. This Voyager happened before.
Yeah, that's true.
It was
That's
a couple
good
years
point.
before.
You guys are having an interesting conversation. I was a little bit distracted because I was thinking about how
Bolano was getting nation particles resistance from the other.
Voyager was like 95 and the Seinfeld was like 97.
No.
Nation. It was nation particle resistance.
What I've been wondering since watching this episode, and actually I've been wondering it twice, because you see it at the beginning of the episode.
Twice?
And you see it at the end of the episode. What I've been wondering is...
What about thrice?
What were Neelix and Captain Janeway doing in the ready room before the event happened?
That guy's a space.
Because remember, what happens is that the shockwave hits the Voyager, and then everyone starts going like, "Oh, something's going on," and then Janeway comes out of her office with Neelix behind her. They were in the office together.
Yeah, why was he in there?
What were they doing? What were they talking about?
Maybe she was telling him he needs to chill out on all the space creepiness.
Maybe.
Or maybe
that's believable. But
or maybe that he was.
It seems like they hadn't caught on yet.
He was showing her his alien feet. Or something.
Wait, you think?
It's like, look at my feet.
Look at these feet.
Captain
She's like, wow.
Janeway,
Let me look at those feet.
He's like, it's really good for your coffee if you just let my feet soak in your coffee.
There's coffee in that nebula.
I think she was asking about the coffee, maybe.
And so he was like, let me
Are there coffee? Is there coffee in those?
So
feet?
he was like, let me put my feet in your coffee, and then you can drink it, and it makes it taste really good. It's an old specialty.
It's creamy.
What kind of species is Neelix?
Talaxian.
Talaxian, right? This is a Talaxian special. It's called
Talaxian Space
He was
Creep.
giving her the Talaxian special, which is
what?
Which is
oh my goodness!
What are you talking about, Dan?
Which is a foot soaked in coffee.
That's a
coffee with foot soak.
That's a trigger.
I'm not fond of this imagery that you're conjuring.
We'll just wait until 23.
23.
23.
What's the importance of 23?
14 coladas.
14 coladas. It's like pina coladas.
Kids playing, children playing, kids playing, children playing, kids playing, children playing, kids playing, children playing.
What does he know?
The kid in Tom
Annihilation?
Paris, the kid in Tom Paris business was fun.
Yeah,
that was charming.
Yeah,
I know it was a small part of the episode, but
that was charming.
A fun little arc.
Yeah.
Neat.
Little
He probably
bit.
saw a little of himself in that little rapscallion rascal.
Yeah, well, Tom is a fucking rascal.
He is. Except he's an adult rascal, which is not as cute.
It is not quite as cute.
No.
Even when he's
I don't like him
wearing that silly little outfit.
Janeway was going to kill that kid.
Well, she was okay with the kid dying.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
slightly
That's
different.
But she wanted
And I still think she thought these guys were jokers and that they could get the drop on them.
Hard officer.
Yeah. Well, she makes the tough decisions from time to time.
No, Janeway's
See,
great.
Tuvix.
Exactly.
Tuvix.
So there was that scene where Kes was talking through time to Janeway. I guess that wasn't even telepathic. She was just straight up talking through time.
She was just yelling through a hole in time, maybe.
Yeah.
The whole of nonsense.
Yeah. They were going to... Yeah. What else happened in this episode?
Well, nothing, because it was a reset button episode.
Yeah.
An early Voyager reset button episode. And I mean, I think it's sometimes an unfair critique of Voyager of saying they did the reset button too much, because I don't think that's necessarily the case. But the thing is as we mentioned, you get like a cause and effect. You get yesterday's Enterprise. People aren't complaining so much about reset buttons. This episode, it's a little bit more like, okay, I guess none of that really mattered.
Apparently, your central nervous system can show whether or not it has a temporal flux.
Oh.
Yeah, well, why not?
It just seems like a weird thing for a
makes sense.
nervous system to show.
How does it show it?
Yeah, how does it show?
Depends on
temporal
what kind of
fluxes?
scanners they got.
What kind of what are you saying?
But I'm saying is this an active ability of the central nervous system
how does it show it?
to report temporal fluxes?
Is it like in a chemical
They don't
sense?
talk about that in biology.
Does it
Don't know much of biology.
does it manifest chemically? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the central nervous system can show temporal fluxes.
Dan thinks it's
How, dude?
It's well, exactly. Dan thinks it's unlikely.
Elaborate.
That this would be the case. Now we're
Right.
in a sci-fi universe where there's an elf creature who is dating Neelix and also has psychic powers.
Yeah.
that
I saw them.
see through time.
They picked up a space creep and they went through a wormhole into like some other shit.
When she said that, he goes like, "It's your imagination." She's like, "I don't think so." He's like, "What else could it be?" It's like, "What do you mean? It's Star Trek. It could be just about anything."
Exactly.
In the world where like if people like are walking funny, they might have been taken over by some alien.
These are the silly people.
Now, do you think?
And he already knew that they have power. He already knew that they have super mental powers. Of course. Actually, no. That was interesting because he was saying that those were just stories.
Yeah,
but
they didn't
but
yet.
the doctor was saying like your species is known for having mental powers.
Well,
so the
he
doctor
said that
believed
because
it.
she told him that.
Well,
we didn't see him tell it, but clearly that was the implication because he doesn't
think
know.
so?
Yeah, well, he doesn't have her on record. He doesn't have any Ocampans
He's
on
all
record.
input.
There's no Ocampans in the directory. That's what he was complaining about. So ipso facto, we may infer
They just got to that Delta quadrant.
that when he was taking her medical history, that was one of the things she mentioned.
Well, he was more willing to believe her than Neelix was.
Well, yeah, because Neelix is an asshole.
Yeah,
He's a total
He's an
piece of shit,
unsupportive,
especially in this episode.
jealous, maniacal piece of shit.
Remember when him and Paris had it out?
Yeah, in Parturition.
Parturition.
They fought each other and then they had a lizard baby.
Yeah. Yeah,
It was a pretty
weird.
fun episode. It was a bizarre episode.
Differentially charged.
I know. I have a note that just says differentially charged.
It suggests a massive detonation.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Real, dude.
Well, no, what I was going to ask is do you think that these people eventually blew themselves up in some other way? Because they tried at the end Look, the gimmick at the end was a totally predictable gimmick, which was like, oh, it turned out it was our fault. In fact, it was so predictable. It was so predictable that they did the old semi-double bluff where they introduced the idea that Janeway figures out it's their fault, but then we figure out why it's their fault because we think it's their fault for one reason, but it turns out, oh, it's their fault, but for a totally different reason, which again was thematically was a little weird and not that interesting. It was just like, we already thought it was our fault, but we thought it was our fault for this reason. Oh, but it so happens that no, it was because this.
You were going to say ipso facto.
I was. It turns out it was for a totally different reason. Okay. All right. Fine. It's just not that interesting for such a clever idea. The basic idea of the whole. We went back in time one day.
Right.
For an ending to be that sort of predictable and pat, it's fine.
No one believes those stories.
It's like an episode to follow, like the pilot of the episode.
What's a pilot? Would you call this when Paris and Harry at the end? Would you call this? Would this be clamoring? This wouldn't be clamoring. This would just be chumming.
Clamoring.
Come on. Come on. Just go.
Like cute chumming.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't call it because clamoring.
Clamoring is such a weird word.
Clamoring is that you're clamoring for something. There's a target. There's an objective towards which you are clamoring.
It's more vehement.
Yeah. Well, clamoring, I suppose, is probably going to be on the vehement side of the spectrum.
They're broing.
You know what's weird? Also, is like
they're chittering.
There's a difference between there's a wry smile.
Yes.
And a sardonic smile.
Oh, yes, very different.
Ooh, like all these different kinds of weird sort of words.
Sardonic
adjectives.
Smile has a lot more going on there.
But like a wry smile.
Wry smile can be more mysterious and
a sneer. How about the difference between a wry smile and a sneer? What's the difference?
The motivation and the motivation behind it.
I say
the emotion behind it.
Right, but it seems like wry smiles and sneers are in the same.
You can also have a wry smile if you got a mouth full of like bread.
Yeah. Yes. We all know how Patrick feels about bread.
Yeah. I love bread.
Bread's good.
Yeah. Bread's awesome.
But like I think
good bread.
I mean, but like wry smile and sneer, like what? I mean, you can say the difference is
wry smile and sneer. Is that a law firm?
You can have those two things, and you can say that the difference is the motivation. But what is the motivational difference? That's my point. Let's get specific here. What do you think ChatGPT has to say?
I have no idea.
This has to do with Star Trek. The whole reason I brought this up.
That's what ChatGPT has to say.
Oh. Yeah, I guess we're getting a little off topic here.
You getting off topic?
A wry smile and a sneer both involve subtle, often ironic or negative expressions, but they differ significantly. So a wry smile is more like a irony and mild amusement, but like sneer is more scornful or contemptuous.
All right. I can buy that.
Hey, can anyone?
We learned something.
We learned. Oh my God!
And we have almost no time left. So.
I know. Okay, real quick.
Last bit. Duty or no duty?
Okay, duty or no duty.
I feel it is my duty to point out.
Oh.
There is absolutely no logical reason to believe Kest is correct. My duty to point out. My duty to point out. My duty to point out.
I'm gonna go.
Duty.
That's a tricky one. I'd probably lean towards no duty, but that might be a cognitive bias based on the fact that it's Vulcan, and Vulcans tend to enunciate.
All right, that's a good point.
My duty to point out.
I'm gonna go duty on that one, full duty. And then there was a.
You're not to warn these people. That's an order.
Yeah,
it was just kind of excessive. She didn't really need to say that.
Yeah. It was used for emphasis, not for actually making it an order.
And last one, can you? I amplified some background chatter. I haven't actually listened to it, so I don't know if you can tell what they're saying. They weren't really saying anything.
I know, it was hard to say.
It was interesting.
That didn't go anywhere.
Oh, no pun intended.
I thought you were saying like jabroni again or something.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, now that you said the word jabroni, now I can only hear jabroni. Can you play it one more time?
He said jabroni in the middle there.
Jabroni.
That motherfucker.
Okay. That was good.
Just I think that's cute at the end.
It is cute. They're making little quacky, chittery noises.
We're running out of time.
All right, so that was Jesse's dying over here. That was It's Got Star Trek for this week, whatever week this is, episode 295.
We're getting ready to leave right now.
It was time and again. That's what we talked about. Next week, get this.
Yeah.
What? We're going to talk about shore leave.
Oh, yeah.
Now, speaking of shore leave, Dan's going to be on shore leave. So he's not going to be here, but Jesse and I...
Special assignment.
Jesse and I, we'll try to plan some fun stuff.
Yeah, it's always fun.
To make it as entertaining as we can hope to be in Dan's absence.
We'll have to fill in.
But so if you want to help us out, send us emails, send us voicemails. That would help us fill some time.
So what? I got 5.
Yeah. Come on.
And so you can send us a voicemail at...
Start some beef.
itsgotstartrek.com/record. Got it? You can record a voicemail there for us. You can email us.
Give us some shit.
Email us at feedback@itsgotstartrek.com. You can go to our Patreon, give us money at patreon.com/itsgotstartrek.
Give us money.
And of course, you may follow us and communicate with us on social media. At It's Got Star Trek and most of the relevant social media places, as well as, of course, subscribe to us on YouTube if you don't mind. Follow us on Facebook, all that jazz. Blue Sky, all that stuff. So until next week when we discuss shore leave, we wish you well, and from us that'll be goodbye.
Run along now.
I know you're lying.
Young man, we're here on a business trip, and we have a lot of work to do.
The officer told me you came here on the Continental Transport.
That's right. We're from Kalto Province.
Yeah? Well, I just talked to the transport attendant. He told me 4 people came today from Kalto. 2 of them were a lot older than you, and they had a child with them.
Well, the attendant was wrong. That was us.
So, where's the child?
We ate him. Because we are demons and we eat children, and I haven't had my supper yet.